this demonstration we're going to look at installing a reporting services point into Configuration Manager. To start with, we need to have a look at the SQL Server reporting services settings that we need to set up before we can do the integration. Then we need to actually add in the reporting services point role, and finally what we'll have a look at is just actually testing the reporting services point to make sure that we can see some of the reports that are coming across. First thing we need to do though is we just do need to set up SQL. And to do that, what we're going to do is I've come on the SQL server, which also happens to be my Configuration Manager server. We'll click on the Start button. We'll just come to our Microsoft SQL Server 2016. As we can see here, Reporting Services is installed, so we just need to configure it. And to do that, what we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to connect through the server by clicking Connect. That'll connect us through, and then all we need to do is we just need to worry about the first 4 settings as the prerequisites to actually set up the connection. So we'll come to service account to start with. Just for purposes of this demo, we are going to use the network service, but as you can see, we've got some options. So we'll go for network service. Once we've done that, we'll just select the apply button. That'll now go through some configuration. And as we can see, the task has completed successfully. So the next thing to do is just set up our web service URL. This is going to create a virtual directory within IIS on lon-cfg called report server. I'm happy to just use all assigned IP addresses. I only have the one network adapter. It is a lab environment, so security isn't that much of an issue for me within this lab environment. So we'll go for port 80. Don't need any certificates. We're not using HTTPS. And as we can see here, we'll generate a virtual directory called report server. So at this point here, we'll just select the apply button. Again, it's going to go through some configuration. The task has come back completed successfully. So the next thing to do here is just set up our database. And on our database, we're just going to select on change database at this point here. You can see we don't have any settings in here yet. We're going to create a new report server database and just select next. Database server is lon-cfg. I am going to use my current user, which is administrator. We'll just test the connection just to make sure we can communicate. We should be able to. It's the same box. That's always good. Succeeded. So we'll select OK. Select our next button. I am going to create a new database called report server. Happy with the language. Select next. For the credentials, I'm just going to use my service credentials at this point here. And again, select my next button. Read through the summary and select next. And just wait for this to complete. Tasks are now complete, so we'll select the finish button. And the last thing we need to do is just set up our web portal URL. So we'll click on web portal URL. We're happy with it being called reports, so anybody that does not have access to the Config Manager console but needs to read reports can go to this website at this point here. So we'll just select the apply button again. Again, this is going to go through some configuration. And now everything's come back successfully at this point here. Task has completed successfully. We can just exit out. We don't need to worry about any of the other settings. We're just going for a default installation at the reporting services point. So we'll select exit. Now what we'll do is in our Config Manager console, we'll come down to the administration workspace and we need to install a new role. So we'll come to our site configuration. We'll go to our servers and site system roles. We're going to install the new role onto lon-cfg. So we'll right click. We'll add site system roles. That'll launch up a wizard. Within the wizard, what we're going to do is we are installing the role onto lon-cfg. I am just going to use the site server's computer account to install the site system, and we are, remember, the datum.com domain. So we'll select next. We're not using a proxy, so we'll select next again. This will now ask me for which role I want to install, and I want to install the reporting services point. We'll select next. We'll then start configuring this role. So I'm happy with lon-cfg.datum.com as the site database name. I'm happy that the database is cm_s01. We will verify that. Successfully verified. Then what we'll do down here is we just need to specify the credentials that SQL reporting services will use when connecting through the Config Manager site database. So we'll set this. We'll create a new account. The account we're going to use is we're just going to use the domain administrator account. Obviously, if we were doing this in a secure environment, we'd create an account for this task. And select OK. Just need to put in the password. Then what we'll do is select OK. Select our next button. read through the summary. We're happy with everything in the summary and select next. This doesn't take too long to go through this process, so we'll just wait for that to finish and select close. So now what we've done is we have installed that role. If we just come back to our monitoring workspace, if we then just have a look at our reporting node, and then within our reporting node look at reports, we won't see anything just yet. We're just waiting for the initial synchronization to occur. So what we should see, over a period of time, we should see reports start to pop into this list. One of the things we can do is we can verify things though by just coming into File Explorer. Within File Explorer, I'm just going to come to my C drive, go to my program files. I'm just going to have a look for Microsoft Configuration Manager. Let's look at logs. And within logs, I've got a couple of log files that may be of some interest. So if we have a look down here, you all start SR. So the first one we'll go for here is just srsrp.log file. And if we have a look at this log file here, what we can see is we can see that we are starting to create folders under reports. Just ignore the error messages for now. We're only really bothered about what's coming in at this point here. So as we can see, it's now starting to create those reports in Config Manager. The other log file that may be of some interest as well is the srsrp setup.log file. And as we can see, this log just shows us information relating to the installation of the role. So we can see that was successful. We'll just come back to the other log file. We can see it's starting to deploy reports to Config Manager. So we'll just minimize these down. And what we'll do at this point here is just click our refresh button. So refresh button up at the top right hand corner here. And what we should see is we're starting to get reports. Now we're going to have over 400 reports by the time that the initial synchronization has occurred. So at this point here, rather than sit and wait for all those reports to come in, we'll pause the presentation and return back once we've fully populated the reports node. So as you can see, we've got 479 reports now. If I just click on the triangle next to reports, we can see we have them all categorized. So let's just run a report. So all we'll do at this point here is just prove we can. Let's do a search. And we'll just look for all reports starting with Windows. And what we'll have a look at here is we'll come down to the report Windows Server Computers. We'll right click and we'll run. Then what we'll do is just come to values. Just in the values, we'll just look for those servers in the All Windows Server collection. Select the OK button. View the report. Now what we should see is we should see all our Windows servers are sitting in that collection. So as you can see, lon-cfg. Lon-cfg is my config manager server. So that is indeed a Windows server. Another way to run the reports, we can run the reports through Internet Explorer. And we can do that by just accessing the URL. In my case, it's http://lon-cfg/reports. Then what we'll get is we'll get the config manager server. Click within the folder. Let's go for hardware CD-ROM. And then what we'll do at this point here is we'll just go for computers from a specific CD-ROM manufacturer. That'll generate or start up the report, and at this point here we just feed in some values. So we'll just wait for this to complete. Click on our drop down, we'll go for standard CD-ROM drives and we'll just view the report, and that'll report back any information relating to devices that have a CD-ROM drive associated with them. And that's the end of this demonstration of installing the reporting service point. Thank you.